Hello, this is D, and I'm back with another video. Well, first of all, I hope you all had a Merry Christmas and a Happy Holidays. I did get a few good hauls I posted up on my X account. I did an unboxing of a PlayStation Portal, the 30th edition anniversary version, as well as a DualSense Edge 30th anniversary edition. Now, I'll probably splice it into the video so you guys will just see a little part of it, but I am planning to post this to my X account, so this should be up on my X account in its entirety before this video, so I'll also link that in the description down below. Now, today, we're going to talk about two things. Well, I hope that we're able to talk about two things. We're definitely going to be talking about the PlayStation 5 Pro. Mark Cerny did an interview with IGN. We're going to go over that. He also did an interview with Digital Foundry, and I'll just give you a few tidbits of that as well. Also, we're hearing some rumors about Xbox making a third parties actually making an Xbox console. Now, we're hearing some little rumors or murmurs that this might be displayed at CES 2025. Now, I'll just go into this briefly here. I don't know how much I give to this leak, because we are hearing that a handheld device from Lenovo is going to be announced at CES 2025. Now, what I think that will entail is some type of Xbox UI for that handheld. Now, if you have any handheld out there, the Xbox interface isn't the best on it. Now, I think Steam does it the best. I have a Rogue Ally and I do like it and I like the interface, but if I just have to be honest, the Steam interface is better, but I do get better performance on the Rogue Ally because it's a more powerful handheld system. So it's going to be very interesting for me to see the performance of the Lenovo handheld as well as the Xbox UI. Now, I think that would be a thing going forward where all of these other devices also would get this Xbox UI. And I'm also hoping that this would carry over to PC. That would be awesome. Now, PC, you have the Xbox app on there and it's fine. Like, it's not the best interface, to be honest with you guys, and it's not the best implementation. I like the Steam interface the best on PC as well, and I think other storefronts do a better job. If we're just being honest here, on PC, the Xbox interface, it's just not the most preferred. A lot of people, if they have the option of getting it at the Xbox store, even if it's say like $5 cheaper, they're still going to choose the Steam version just for its whole integration with all of their catalogs, and just Steam OS, it's just working fantastically on any device that it's on. Now, as far as a third-party made Xbox console being announced at CES, I just don't see it happening. I think there's a lot of hurdles that would need to be cleared in order for such a machine to be released. We're hearing that there's going to be a Steam machine and possibly it'll be competing with the consoles. A Steam machine in the console space would be very interesting. I don't think it would be the same performance as a console, because just having the Steam name in there, I think that the performance would be greater than the consoles. Therefore, the price would also be greater than the consoles, but it has Steam integrated into it. And if Xbox UI is also able to run on top of Steam OS, then that's a pretty crazy combination. So we're gonna find out more about that at CES. And like I said before, if I have time at the end of the video, I'll add more bits about that story. Now let's just get into Mark Cerny on the PlayStation 5 Pro, Flopation, and PlayStation's partnership with AMD. Now, IGN did an interview with them, as well as Digital Foundry. Now, I posted little clips, or I should say a little bit of the write-up from Digital Foundry and other outlets, proving that the PlayStation 5 Pro does indeed have many elements of RDNA 3, that it has elements of RDNA 4, mainly the ray tracing. It has machine learning AI that isn't even on any AMD hardware. It's beyond what AMD is doing for machine learning AI. So I don't understand how people walked away from that event thinking that it was some type of L. Now, of course, you know, Flopflation, they made a big deal out of it. Myself and many other outlets reported on the 33 teraflops of performance. Now, that didn't turn out to be the case because they are not using the dual precision or the dual issue that's on RDNA 3. Now, for some strange reason, gamers seem to think because it doesn't have the dual precision of RDNA 3, that it doesn't have anything that's RDNA 3 on it, and that is further from the truth. Now, like I said, Digital Foundry confirmed that it does indeed have RDNA 3 on it. It's not just RDNA 2. So with that being said, let's just get into the article. Now it goes on to say that Sony released a new technical presentation on PlayStation architect Mark Cerny, in which he took a deep dive into the PlayStation 5 Pro, in particular the system's new AI upscaling tech, PlayStation's pictorial super resolution. During the talk, Cerny also announced that Sony and AMD are entering the strategic partnership called Project Amethyst, with the aim of advancing game graphics through machine learning, that is, the tech behind Sony's PSSR and AMD's FSR. Last month, I had an opportunity to visit PlayStation headquarters and preview today's presentation, as well as sit down with Cerny, getting answers to a few of the lingering questions about the PlayStation 5 Pro, as well as details on Project Amethyst and how it could be relevant not just for the future of gaming graphics on PlayStation, but also Xbox and PC. Now, I just want to go over this part here. The partnership that AMD and Sony have is for machine learning AI hardware. Now, Cerny said in his presentation that he wants this to be on all devices. So if AMD is developing this with Sony, that would mean that the next Xbox, if it has machine learning AI, and I'm not saying it won't, it definitely will, it will also support what AMD and Sony are doing here with Project Amethyst. Now, of course, this is going to carry over to the PlayStation 6, so that is very interesting in itself. Now, in the past, Microsoft and AMD, they had a very strong relationship, and they did a lot of co-developing together, and it looks like Sony is taking over Microsoft's role here, and they are going to be developing a new system with AI upscaling tech. They're going to be doing it with Project Amethyst, and it's advancing game graphics through machine learning. IGN asked, you talked about the big difference between RDNA 2 and RDNA 3 and how you wanted to stick to RDNA 2 because you didn't want to create a lot of work for developers upgrading to RDNA 3. Mark Cerny replied, so it's 2 times X, right? So we asked, what are the features you could take from RDNA 3 that won't cause a lot of work for the developers? And so we took those. Now, in his deep dive, he did explain this. So I don't understand how gamers out there are saying that the PlayStation 5 Pro doesn't have any RDNA 3 in it. It's just RDNA 2.5. It has most of the features of RDNA 3. He didn't want to bring over features that would cause a lot of work for the developers, mainly the binary, so they would have to create 2 different versions of the game. He went on to say in his presentation that they brought over the best parts, such as the geometry pipeline that is significantly better. So what are we doing here? And I'm just going to go a little bit further. Yes, the dual issue was not brought over, so it's not doing 33 teraflops of performance. I was not the first one to report on this. Now, according to Cerny, he said that somebody reading the leaked documents misinterpreted that. Now, who was the first person to leak the documents? And after that person leaked the documents, every outlet was repeating it. That was IGN, that was Digital Foundry, that was every single outlet. And furthermore, everything else that was in that leaked document was 100% accurate. Now, what's happening here is that people are trying to just cope, that this system is not better than what's out or what they currently own. That is the truth of the matter. So they hold on to anything that they can to point a negative light on the PlayStation 5 Pro, when in fact this system is remarkably capable of doing more things than the current generation consoles. It's not full RDNA 3, but it's not RDNA 2. It is a hybrid like Cerny described it, with the best parts of RDNA 3 and all of the things from RDNA 2. With things from RDNA 4, the ray tracing, and things that are beyond AMD. Hence their partnership with Amethyst to create machine learning AI hardware. Now they asked Cerny about the term flopflation, and did he come up with that term, or is it something from a marketing department? And he goes on to say, yeah, I came up with that. I'm not sure how much credit I want to take, but yes, I came up with that. So on the topic, how do you feel about the general teraflop arms race? I know that there are a lot of different factors that go into gaming performance, but then on the other hand, the general public likes to have a hard kind of number that they can latch onto. What's your take on it? And he goes on to say, well, actually, I don't see that happening in the PC world. In the PC world, I don't think consumers talk much about teraflops. It seems to be more just about the consoles and just in the recent generations. And I've said many times, teraflops are not a good indication of GPU performance. And we've known this for quite some time that Cerny, he doesn't really care about the teraflops rating. He cares about the console as a whole and what it's producing graphically and performance wise. Now, we can refer to the PlayStation 5 that has 10 teraflops of performance compared to the Xbox Series X that has 12 teraflops of performance. On paper, it has more features. It has more teraflops. It should have more performance. Yet the PlayStation 5, it is outperforming the Xbox Series X in some titles. In other titles, it ties with it. So teraflops, I do agree with. It's not the sole factor to determine performance. Now, I also want to point out, although it's not doing the dual precision of 32 bits that can do 33 teraflops of performance, they are using rapid pack math at 16-bit operation. So anything that's using rapid pack math can use 67 teraflops. Now, it's not for everything. There's certain aspects of the programming pipeline, such as machine learning, such as FSR, that can use this. And it is a very handy tool. And 67 teraflops of potential compute performance for machine learning is definitely impressive. Now, they go on to ask about the Amethyst partnership with AMD, and he goes on to say, so first I should give you the nature of our collaboration. There are two targets we are working with on AMD. One is better hardware architecture for machine learning, and that's not about creating proprietary technology for the PlayStation. The goal is to create something that can be used broadly across PC, consoles, and cloud. The other collaboration is with regards to the lightweight CNNs for game graphics. So you know the sort of things that are used in PSSR and perhaps the sort of things that would be used in future FSR. So right there, you have Sony basically saying that AMD needs the help to improve its machine learning AI, and we want to partner with AMD to make this a reality. That is a huge deal, and I gotta be honest with you guys. When it comes to AMD and NVIDIA, they outshine AMD for their software. Their machine learning AI is advanced. It's more advanced than what AMD has right now. Sony had to go and create their own thing in order to have something that is comparable to DLSS. And they went on to say, you know what, we need to really help you guys in the future. We think this is a goal that will benefit both of us. So this is a pretty good collaboration. So they went on to ask, so the broad nature of the collaboration then, what kind of information is being shared between the companies to achieve those goals? And we are directly collaborating on both of those goals. Does that mean that we can expect findings of this collaboration to be reflected in future AMD hardware that isn't necessarily PlayStation hardware? And Cerny responded saying, absolutely. This is not about creating proprietary technology or hardware for the PlayStation. And IGN, of course, asked, does this mean it can be used on Xbox hardware potentially? And Cerny said it can be used by anyone who wants to use it. So that is pretty crazy, that the next Xbox console potentially could have machine learning AI tech that was co-created by AMD and Sony. Like, wow, that is just kind of blowing my mind. Never would I ever think that this day would happen. Now, I don't want to go into all of the exclusive stuff because, to be honest with you, this stuff kind of writes itself and it's like a perfect segue to get into that stuff. But it's the holidays, so I'm going to be nice. But you gotta be honest, that is some pretty crazy potential situation of happening, that Sony could create the machine learning AI that is in the next Xbox Series X, or I should say Xbox next console. Now, the rest of it you guys pretty much know. He talks about the CPU and how it can run 10% higher clock frequency, and you can have a game just running it with a 10% higher clock. Like, it's something that you can do. It's available to developers on all games, and he lists that it's still a Zen 2 CPU, and we all know that it's a Zen 2 CPU, and it is the one big disappointment of the PlayStation 5 Pro is that it is still using the older CPU. If it was using a better CPU, the performance gains would be far greater. Definitely the bottleneck that is in the PlayStation 5 Pro is the CPU. Now, PSSR can help in certain situations where a game is not CPU bound, but if a game is CPU bound, you're basically going to get 10 to 15% better performance on the PlayStation 5 Pro. It's not going to be much better in those situations. Now, he goes on to talk about the AI upscaler using PSSR. Is that a discrete piece of hardware, or is it built into the GPU itself? Now, Cerny's reply here is very interesting. He says we needed hardware that had this very high performance for machine learning, and so we went in and modified the shader core to make that happen. Specifically, as far as we could touch on the software side, there are 44 new machine learning instructions that take a free approach to register RAM access. Effectively, you're using the register RAM as RAM, and as this implements the math needed for CNNs. Now, to put it differently, we enhanced the GPU, but we didn't add a tensor unit or something to it. So right here you have it, 44 new instructions for their machine learning AI that is not on AMD hardware now. They had to add this in order to get the results that they wanted. So I once again don't know how people are thinking that the PlayStation 5 Pro is bad, saying that it doesn't have full RDNA 3, it's not full RDNA 2, it doesn't have RDNA 4, where I've kind of proved this already in this video. But now we're getting to the point where Sony is saying we have added things that are not on AMD currently. Now they ask about frame generation, and he goes, on the PlayStation 5 Pro, all this time we have had is PSSR, which is super resolution. We are fantastically interested in all of these things that can be done with machine learning to make the game graphics better. And I think it's pretty obvious to everyone that frame generation, frame extrapolation, and ray tracing denoising are also very interesting targets. Now this is very interesting here. So he's not saying that the PlayStation 5 Pro is not capable of doing ray tracing denoising similar to what is done on DLSS with ray reconstruction. He wants to see what developers can do with frame extrapolation. And of course, the frame generation running on a machine learning AI algorithm. Now, you are going to get better implementation, obviously, because it has a lot more information that it's working with, and it's just better computationally, right? The FSR frame gen, it's not as good as the frame gen that is on NVIDIA. So this is also very interesting. So the PlayStation 5 Pro, it has a lot of potential, and I do believe good developers, great developers that take their time and wrap their head around all of the features that are available on the PlayStation 5 Pro, I think we're going to see some amazing results. The next game's coming out from Insomniac. I think they're going to look fantastic on the PlayStation 5 Pro. I think they're going to take advantage of all of the features that are available to them. Now, they go on to say that ray tracing is noticeably more performance demanding than traditional rasterization and traditional reflections and lighting techniques. Do you feel that the game's community's interest in ray tracing, as you mentioned in the talk, is worth continuing developing in that direction? Cerny replied saying ray tracing is not one thing, it's many things. You can use ray tracing for audio, it's pretty inexpensive. You can also use ray tracing to improve your lighting, which is a bit more expensive, but not tremendously so. You could do reflection, and because of the reflections can be done at a lower resolution, that can be done without breaking the budget as well. And then if you keep that going, you end up with path tracing, where your technology is fundamentally based on ray tracing. And if you don't have incredible performative ray tracing hardware, you won't get too far with it. So what we're doing here is we're providing tools to the developers and allowing them to work out where on that spectrum they'd like to be. So I'm gonna be honest here, I don't see the PlayStation 5 Pro doing path tracing, but it would be pretty crazy if a developer was able to get path tracing running on the PlayStation 5 Pro, say at like 30 FPS. Now that's not something realistic, but I like that the developers have all the tools available for them to even attempt it. So I think that's pretty cool. Now, I've had the PlayStation 5 Pro for like 6-7 weeks now, and I have to be honest with you guys, I'm very impressed with it. Even the image quality on my PlayStation Portal from just owning the PlayStation 5 Pro, all of the games that I played before look and run better on my PlayStation 5 Pro. So personally, I'm very, very impressed, and I'm very satisfied with it. Now, some of you guys out there, you probably got your PlayStation 5 Pro for the holidays. You probably got it at launch. So let me know in the comment section what you think about the PlayStation 5 Pro. But for me, it's a very good system. Now, the article goes on to talk about like the reason why they decided to do it themselves, so they own the technology instead of outsourcing it. And they go into all of the details. It's a pretty good interview. I'm also going to link the interview in the description down below for Digital Foundry's write-up on it. Once again, they also confirmed what Cerny said, that there's going to be RDNA 4 ray tracing in it, that the machine learning AI is beyond AMD. We're seeing from this article today that AMD is partnering with Sony because Clearly, Sony has some advantages that will help AMD, and both of them will benefit from this to get machine learning AI on the next gen consoles and something for all gaming hardware so that anybody is able to use it. And I think that is a fantastic roadmap for AMD. Now, I want to know what you guys think about all of this. What are your thoughts on the partnership between Sony and AMD and the potential of it resulting in hardware that is in the next Xbox console? What are your thoughts on the PlayStation 5 Pro having RDNA 3? We know that it has most of the elements of RDNA 3, basically a hybrid. Once again, Cerny has confirmed that it has many of the RDNA 3 features. In fact, it has the best RDNA 3 features in it. The only reason why they didn't port everything over is because it would be more work for the developers. But anything that would improve the performance, they did bring it over from RDNA 3, and I think that's the most important thing. Now, the dual issue flops, to be honest with you guys, it wasn't in all situations. It was never going to be in all situations. It would be in the best case scenario, and they have omitted this from the PlayStation 5 Pro. Cerny has told us don't worry about the teraflop numbers. It's going to be a great performing machine, and I'm already seeing this owning the system for less than 2 months. We also know that it's going to have better iterations of PSSR, so it's going to continue to get better over time. And Sony is really serious in their commitment to machine learning AI hardware in the next generation console from them, and something that all next generation hardware can benefit from, including the next Xbox console. Anyways, you guys let me know what you think about this and all the stories that we talked about today in the comment section down below. And like I usually say, please like, share, and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys on the next one.